In this lesson, we'll be learning about groups. I've briefly mentioned them in some of the previous lessons, and we'll be talking about them in future lessons as well. So now is as good a time as any to discuss them. We've used the oddly breakable by hand group in some of our node registrations. So let's start by discussing what that group is and how it works, and then move on to other groups that are similar to it. Items in this group don't really make sense to be breakable by hand, but to allow for the player to get started, they need to be. The group provides a rating of 1 through 3, with higher values resulting in faster dig times. If the player is wielding a tool that can dig the node faster than these values, the engine will use the tool's speed. For example, tree trunks are oddly breakable by hand and choppy. So if the player is using an axe, the engine will use the choppy speed from the axe. Tools define what the digging speeds will be for specific groups and ratings, and we'll cover that in detail in the lesson on tools. Higher values result in faster dig times. Minetest game uses the following groups to define what tools should be used to break the nodes. Crumbly nodes are those that should be dug with shovels, things such as dirt, sand, gravel, silt, etc. Cracky nodes are breakable with a pickaxe, things like stone and metal blocks. Snappy nodes are best broken with a sword. In-game, these will be items like leaves, grasses, and other small plants. Choppy nodes should be broken with an axe. Most wooden items will be in this group. Trees, wood blocks, slab stairs, and even wooden furniture, chests, and shelves. Dig immediate nodes can be broken without any wear to a tool. Set to 2, it'll take about half a second to break the node. Set to 3, it'll be removed instantly. All of these groups can have a rating from 1 to 3, with higher values resulting in faster break times. If you are making custom tools, you can use ratings higher than 3, but none of the tools from Minetest game will be able to break those nodes. Tools use an elaborate system of defining uses and dig times for different groups, and even have an option to make certain tools not able to break specific ratings in their group. For example, a wooden pickaxe can't dig a stone with a diamond block. We'll cover that in detail in the lesson on tools though. When registering a node, you can have multiple of these groups, which will allow a player to use different tools to break the node. In the lesson on tools, we'll look at how you can make a tool that is suited for breaking items of multiple groups. For right now, we'll just look at making a node that has multiple groups. If we create a node and give it just one of these tool-related groups, say choppy equals 3, we'll only be able to break the node with an axe. Maybe we want to let the player break the node with other tools, but make it take a long time. We can do that by adding another group with a lower rating, like crumbly equals 1. When using multiple groups, they need to be separated with a comma. White space is ignored here, so you can put spaces between the group names and ratings or not. It won't matter, though I strongly suggest you decide upon one way and stick with that to keep all your code consistent. The fake diamond can now be broken with an axe or shovel. If both tools are of the same tier, wood, stone, steel, etc., the axe will break the node faster. However, if you have a diamond shovel, it'll break the node faster than a wooden axe. Not all groups need ratings, but you still need to give it a value of 1 for it to work. As mentioned in the last lesson on crafts, the wood group lets players use wood from any tree in a craft, which simplifies code for a modder, so they don't have to create a bunch of different recipes to allow the player to make an item from each type of wood. There are many groups used for crafting purposes, and you can create your own custom group as well with 0 effort. Let's take a look at some of the crafting groups from Minetest game, and then cover how to make our own groups. Sand is for sand nodes. Minetest game has silver sand, desert sand, and beach sand. If your mod adds another type of sand, you should probably add it to the sand group, so people can use it in recipes that need sand. Stone is for stone nodes. This also includes cobblestone, stone block, and stone brick, and the desert variants. Wood is used for wooden planks, but not tree trunks, stairs, or slabs. Tree is used for tree trunks. Wool is used for wool. This is due to the fact that wool can be dyed, and the colored wools can be used in all crafts that need wool, even though the resulting object might not have colored wool in it. Leaves are leaves from trees or bushes. Some recipes let you create oils from leaves or sticks from leaves. Water bucket is used for buckets that are full of water. This is useful if you want to create a recipe that needs water, but don't care what type of water is used. Just be sure to use a replacement to give the player the empty bucket back. Using any of these groups is completely optional. If you're making a mod that adds sand, and you don't want to add it to the sand group, you don't have to. These are just used to make things slightly more compatible between mods and games. You can use these groups in your recipes, even if your mod doesn't add anything that is in that group. and any other mods that have that group will be usable in your mod. You don't even have to list them as optional dependencies. If you want to add your own custom group, just add it to the node registration. That's literally all there is to it. Then use that group in your recipes. Groups can be used for other things as well, but most of them are out of the scope of this lesson, so we'll cover them in the future. Let's go ahead and add a new group to both of our nodes. We can now create a craft recipe that uses group mod_1 as a recipe item. We can make 2 fake diamonds using 2 first node and dirt, or 2 fake diamonds and dirt, or a first node and a fake diamond node and dirt. Because we're using groups, we have more options as to how the item is crafted, all without needing to create a bunch of recipes, which really saves us a lot of time. In the future, when we get to making dynamic worlds and mods that do stuff, we'll come back to groups and see how they can be used for things other than craft recipes, and defining how quickly they can be broken with tools. That concludes this lesson. Now, on to the challenge. Using what you've learned in this lesson, and the previous lessons, create 2 new nodes and give them some groups to control how they can be broken and use them in crafts. Create 2 craft recipes that use some of the groups you just used in the node registrations. Thanks for watching this lesson. I trust you learned something you can use to make your very own mods. If you enjoyed what you saw and learned something, consider subscribing and making a donation. You'll find all the resources for this lesson on my website, linked in the description below.